What's good, everybody? It's your boy Tha HalfKast, and welcome to the first ever episode of Break the Mold. And show you where we go and interview and talk to Polynesian people. We're doing things a little differently around the areas to break the stereotypes, or break the mold as we like to call it around here. Anyway, our first guest is a barber educator, a business owner, but more importantly, a father, a son, and a husband. We're here at the Loft Barbershop. So let's go and meet our first guest. If you could just, I don't know, give us a brief introduction, who you are, where you're from, what ethnicity you are, and all that sort of stuff.
Okay, so we'll start with ethnicity. I am Samoan Chinese, slightest bit Chinese. My great-grandfather was full Chinese. But born and raised in Auckland, New Zealand, and West Auckland, that is. And so my name is Lance Liufau. I should have started with that. And I'm one of the co-owners of the Loft Barbershop.
So I guess, what got you into barbering to start off with?
Man, that's a pretty funny story, to be honest. So I just lost a job. I got fired. It was a warehousing job, and I was taking too many days off to spend time with my girlfriend at the time, who is now my wife and the mother of my children. So that was a pretty good return on investment there.
Guess you made the right choice.
I did. But I got fired from a job, and I was hanging out at my cousin's barbershop. My cousin being Robbie Silmali'i, the late Robbie Silmali'i, unfortunately, passed away too young. But he got me into barbering because I was hanging out at his shop doing nothing, just playing PlayStation at the back and eating their food. And he pretty much told me that I needed to do something to pull my weight around the area, pay my way in a sense. And I asked him, what do you have in mind? And he reckons, I'll teach you how to cut hair. Never wanted to be a barber though. I hated getting haircuts, let alone giving haircuts. So, but my girlfriend at the time and my brother both told me that I had nothing to lose, so might as well give it a go. So yeah, that's how I got into it.
And what shop was this, just for?
Specific Cuts. I've always got a special place in my heart for that place. Specifics is, for those that don't know, is probably the first urban style barbershop / island barbershop in the Logan area. Back in 2005, I think they started. And so that was the year I started, and I'll never look back since.
Yeah, funny story about that barbershop. I got a haircut there on some paint cans. It wasn't even
before they even had it fitted.
Yeah, it wasn't fitted out. It was just paint cans. My old man took me down because the Robbie and Bo used to cut my hair as a little kid.
Yeah.
In Carindale. Then they opened that up, and hit my dad up for some painting, I think. And I sat on the paint cans and got a hair.
Your dad's probably helped a lot of the shops in the area open up. Your dad actually, believe it or not, painted our roof. So, shout out to your dad, Jason, for helping us out with that too.
Yep. So what were you doing before barbering though? You started pretty young?
I was 19. No, I was about 20 years old, when I started barbering. Before that, it was just what would you call it? Just the norm, I guess. I was warehousing jobs, pretty much anything I could find just to earn an income to pay my way.
So what was it like growing up in West Auckland for you?
Bro, it wasn't bad. I know, and I've heard stories where the area has gotten worse over the years, but when I was living there, I guess it's kind of like that everywhere you go and everywhere you live. it's never as bad as what people make out that it is. But no, it was good growing up in West Auckland. The schools that I went to were good. I wasn't exactly the best of students, but I guess that's why I'm cutting hair too, right? No. But all in all, I grew up in a religious household. Grew up a member of the Mormon church. I don't go now, and that's purely out of my own decisions and choices. So, but yeah, overall, bro, upbringing was good. Parents were good. Came from a good family. I just chose to do some of the wrong things, I guess.
Now, I believe that you are a Kelston boy.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Shout out Kelston boys.
Third form to sixth form, before they kindly asked me to leave.
Kindly's crazy.
Yeah, it was kind of not.
It's like being told to resign from a job when they just want to fire you.
Nah, that's it. Call it redundancy.
So, obviously from West Auckland, and when did you decide to move over to Brisbane or Australia?
So it would have been about a couple years out of high school. I was about 19, turning 20. I made the move over here just because I had nothing good going for me in New Zealand, to be honest. It was, I wasn't doing much, and if anything, I probably would have ended up doing a lot of the wrong things, to be honest. So I decided to make the move over here, and when I told my parents that I was going to move, my dad was all too excited to let me go. So shout out to the old man for being super excited. He was like, yeah man, son, you should go. My dad always used to tell me that everything I did outside of the house is a reflection on them and how they've raised me, and I didn't really understand that until I grew to be an adult, but hence the reason why he was so happy to watch me leave New Zealand. I was bringing too much shame on the family name. But hopefully I'm making him proud now.
I'm sure you are. All the success. For those who don't know, so Lance here and my dad are first cousins. His mum and my grandma are sisters.
Yep.
So you moved over to Brisbane straight away from Auckland?
Yep. I've been pretty much everywhere else in Australia, but I've always lived in Brisbane. And to be honest, I prefer Brisbane. You know, no offense to anywhere else in Australia, but I think Brisbane for me is just the right pace. It's not as hectic and crazy as Melbourne, Sydney and whatnot. I like it. I like it here in Brisbane.
So you started at Pacific Cut?
Yep.
How long were you there for?
I was there for 5 years, so 2005 to 2010. And then my missus, my wife, fell pregnant. And I guess I just got to a point where I felt like a change was needed. So yeah, I left there and went from there to Culture King.
And that's the one in the city?
Yep. Yes.
And that was the downstairs?
I was there, yeah, when they transitioned from their original Elizabeth Street store to the Queen Street, which was downstairs.
How long were you at Culture King's for?
Literally 6 months before they fired my ass. So there I go again, getting kicked out of places. I've always had an issue with authority, taking instruction, and you know, you can call it what you want, but I don't think it's always a bad thing. You know what I mean? I mean, I know it's not good to always rebel and go against the grain, but I guess in order to do something different, you kind of have to. And I guess that's just been part of my personality since birth.
So after Culture King's there for 6 months, what was the next step after that?
I actually bounced around. I bounced around from a few different spots before I found my feet at One-on-One. Shout out to One-on-One for giving us a place to work and share our creativity. And I was there for about 3 years before moving on to a small place called Raby Bay, Harbour Barber, out in the Redland area. and the lovely ladies there gave me an opportunity to do my work, and I was only there for a short time actually. Like the working conditions that they provided for me was awesome. The pay rate was amazing, but the environment was amazing also. The people that I was blessed to network with for the short 3 months or so that I was there was crazy. Like you see the difference in conversations going from, you know, certain areas to another area that's, I guess, a bit more on the higher income side, and Raby Bay is one of those. So like I was sitting down with people that were pilots, and I even cut a lady's kids hair, and she owned 3 McDonald's. 3 of them, bro. Like, not 1, not 2, but 3. And she was pretty much like grooming her kids to take over her empire. And you don't see or have a lot of those conversations, unfortunately, when you're here in other areas. So the loft being in Browns Plains, I've never had anybody in my chair that owns a McDonald's. You know what I mean? So there's a big difference there.
Obviously, it's worked out for you, and now you're a barber educator as well.
Yes, yep. So alongside with running this place, I do a bit of education, workshops and whatnot, all around the country. I'm currently one of the sponsored educators for Babyless, the clipper brand that I'm currently using. Shout out to Babyless Pro Australia. And so they get us to travel around the country and put on workshops and shows just to showcase, 1, their product, and 2, share a bit of knowledge on what we do.
Oh, that's awesome, getting to travel and do what you love.
Yeah, definitely. It breaks the week up too. It doesn't happen every weekend, but it's nice to get out there and see different things and meet new people.
Yeah. And what do you find is the most fulfilling part of being an educator?
So I think the way that I see it, the way that I view it, is what I'm sharing with someone is helping them feed their family, if that makes sense.
No, that's good.
So that's probably the most rewarding, is knowing that I'm helping somebody improve their skill sets so that they can, I guess, in return, pay their bills, feed their families, hopefully gain more clients so that they can do more of that, providing for their families. So yeah, that's probably the most rewarding, is just sharing the knowledge and knowing that you're helping someone.
When's your next one here?
So there's a barber expo happening in April, towards the end of April. I think it's the 20th to the 22nd. But the week leading up to that expo, there's a nationwide tour with a couple of barbers coming across from overseas, and that'll be the first one to kind of kick off the year. It's a pretty big one. So we're doing Perth, Melbourne, Sydney, as well as Brisbane, so all the major cities. And then from there we do the expo to finish it all off, and then there'll be just different dates throughout the year.
And I guess what led to the opening of the Loft Barbershop as we know it today?
So at the time that I was working in Raby Bay, I was involved with a lot of different shows, hair shows, hair expos, and I got a lot of the boys involved with it too. And fortunately, I guess that relationship grew with the other boys that were doing the education with me, and one of them being Bruce and the other being my first cousin on my dad's side, Lorenzo. And one day my wife was actually on the computer randomly looking at commercial real estate.
Yep.
Why? No idea. And then she sees a couple of spots and she reckons, why don't we open a barbershop? So I contacted the other boys, ran it by them. They were pretty secure in their job, so there was a bit of umming and ahhing at first, but I guess, the idea went through, got through to them. They were keen, and from there we just, the rest is history, really.
I guess, what year did you guys open up?
It was 2015, so this is our 9th year here in Browns Point.
Like what makes you love coming to work every day, I guess?
Honestly, it's probably the people involved, meaning clients, workmates, the boys that come in. I'm fortunate enough to work around a lot of my family members. My brother cuts hair down in the corner chair there. My nephew cuts right next to me. And obviously my first cousin who I'm in business with as well. So yeah, I think it's the people more than anything, because today I haven't seen so many home studios, like throughout the 19 years that I've been cutting. And as much as those are cool, like I really don't mind. I've got nothing against home studios. I think they're awesome, but that camaraderie that you have with the people that come in the shop, and those conversations, the conversations about sports and politics and religion, whatever it might be, silly things, like you can't get that on your own. And I think that's probably the biggest thing for me is people, man.
So been open for 9 years. What's the next step in your barbering journey?
I think for me, we've always talked about multiple stores, and I know it's been a long time with just the one, but I think for me personally, maybe want to dive a bit deeper into the education space. Who knows what that might be, whether it's a barber school or online courses. I'm not sure, but I would like to, I guess, dive a bit deeper into sharing that knowledge with people.
So obviously outside of barbering, you are a husband, father, son, brother.
Yes.
What do you like to do in your spare time with your kids, your wife?
So obviously, like, the family is everything.
Yep.
And I'm not superhuman, so I can't say that I do a whole lot with the family. You get caught in that trap of work and then go home and wake up, rinse, repeat, do the same thing. But I guess for fun, we like to just adventure out to different places. Nature has been something that me and my little family have kind of tried to focus on a bit more, getting out in the sun, and because I spend all day in an air-conditioned box, you know what I mean? So I feel like just getting out in fresh air and being in the sun is very important too, especially for our kids too, because they're in the same situation, always in an air-conditioned room. We're caught up in technology and all of those sorts of things too, so it's just good to get out.
What's some advice you'd give to people who are trying to, I guess, break the mold of the typical jobs that Polynesians are put in? What's some advice you'd give to people trying to make it out, break the mold?
I think what is pretty heavy within our culture is the, I guess, how do I say it without being too blunt or offensive? I know tall poppy syndrome there's a huge culture of that within our culture. People not liking when somebody's trying something different or trying to make it somewhere, like I mentioned a bit earlier, how that video I saw that a client will become a friend a lot sooner than a friend will become a client.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that is so evident within our culture. So I think you have to be quite thick-skinned if you're trying to, I guess, break the mold and break the cycle of doing what we're expected to do in regards to society standards. So you got to be thick-skinned, man. You got to be willing to put yourself out there and try something new, and know that you're gonna get backlash. you're gonna get criticized, you're gonna get ridiculed, and sometimes that comes in the forms of the people that are closest to you. And that can be mum, dad, that can be brothers, cousins, best friends, it can be anyone. And unfortunately, it's not until you actually do something, I guess, that's credible, like that's that carries weight, that they become believers in what you're doing. So, you know, with what you're doing now, this is obviously outside of the box, being your first episode. Know that it's gonna come with some kind of backlash, and 9 times out of 10, unfortunately, it comes from people that look like us, you know?
Well, there's not many Polynesians that look like me, so shout out to all you half-casts out there.
I think one thing too, before we move on to the next, is I feel like there's a lot of confusion around the term being humble.
I was actually gonna bring this up. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, 100%. There's confusion between being humble and being, I guess, restricted and stopped from trying to do something new from those around you. You know, you gotta have a certain level of confidence to make it somewhere. You know, and unfortunately, when you see people from different countries, like say America for instance, their confidence level is way up here. You see it in sports, you see it in Hollywood, you see it in the music game, and you see people on our side of the world that try to, I guess, emulate what they're doing, but on a very, like, more like a huge difference than being conservative and trying to be, I guess, humble. But I feel like you gotta put it all out on the line, you know, leave nothing on the table.
So what is your reason for coming to work? What is your why for chasing your dreams?
Oh man, I thought I had my why before I had kids, but after having kids, obviously you adapt to the differences that you're presented in life, the different challenges and whatnot. And after I had kids, man, they're my why. They're for real, like I know I have to be here to provide for them.
Yeah.
And I know there's so much more that I have to do in life for them as well, so that when I'm not here, they are looked after. And not only looked after in a financial sense, but so that they're equipped with the know-how, with the knowledge to be able to look after themselves. Yeah. So yeah, they're the reasons why I do what I do, and my wife as well, obviously, you know. We're fortunate enough to be in a position where my wife can be a stay-at-home mum, and I know a lot of families don't have that privilege. So yeah, they're the reasons. I've got 4 reasons which are at home currently. It's my real why. And you know what? To add to that is also, I guess, in a sense, and it sounds cliche, but legacy. I want to leave a mark on the industry that I'm in. I want to be, I guess, spoken about in a good way, that I've helped people, that I've been a good person. I try my best to be a good person and treat people with respect. And I guess, I want to leave a good imprint on the industry when I don't have the physical ability to do it anymore.
Yeah. Final question. What advice would you give to people who want to become barbers? What's some advice you'd give them to start their journey, or whatever?
For a new barber coming into the scene, I would probably advise them to just try and learn as much as you can even before you actually get in the position where you're cutting someone's hair. We currently have resources that are at our fingertip, literally. Like, you got the internet, you got your phones, you got computers, you got all of that sort of thing. So, bro, learn as much as you can before you actually get behind the chair.
Yeah.
And source out. There's plenty of education institutions out there now currently that provide the Cert 3 in barbering. So look up, I guess, the most convenient one for you and just give it a go. I know of so many people that are jumping across from other industries, have been doing what they're doing for so many years and then jumping across. And you know what? A lot of them have told me that it's the best thing they've ever done.
Awesome.
Because they, wanted to make that move, that transition. So just give it a go. Dive in, head first. You won't regret it.
And go get a therapy certificate too.
That wouldn't hurt. That wouldn't hurt for real.
Well, fam, that's it. That's the first episode. Thank you to my Uncle Lance for having us. Stay tuned for next episode 2, On Ways.